Day 6. Build your emergency buffer, the $5 habit that can save you $5,000. Let's talk about emergencies. Not the dramatic kind with sirens and helicopters. I mean the everyday disasters, the kind that quietly blow up your budget while you're just trying to buy groceries and live your life. You know the ones: your car battery dies, your kid gets sick and needs urgent care, the fridge stops working, your boss announces layoffs 2 days before rent is due. We all nod and say, that's life, but deep down, it's terrifying. And if you've ever had to put a surprise bill on a credit card because there was no other choice, you know the weight of that fear. That's where today's lesson comes in. Day 6 of the 7-day money reset is about building your emergency buffer, the quiet cash cushion that turns disasters into inconveniences. This step may be simple, but it's not small. In fact, it might be the most important money habit you ever build. Let's get into it. What is an emergency fund, really? First, let's clear something up. When I say emergency fund, I'm not talking about a mountain of cash sitting in some high-interest account you opened during a burst of financial motivation. I'm not talking about the mythical $1,000 every guru demands you stash right now. And I'm definitely not talking about draining your savings to meet someone else's definition of being responsible. No, this is different. This is your buffer, a small dedicated stash of cash that lives separately from your regular money. It's not sexy, it doesn't brag on social media, but it's the difference between a meltdown and a manageable situation. This isn't a luxury. It's your financial seatbelt. And today, you're buckling in. Why most people don't start one, let's be real for a second. If building an emergency fund were easy, everyone would have one. But more than 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck. And nearly half of adults say they couldn't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing. Why? Because we've made savings seem like something only rich people do. Or something you do once you're debt-free. Or once you finally make real money, so we wait. And wait. And guess what? Emergencies don't wait. That's why this step is not about building the perfect fund. It's about starting it. The mindset shift you need if your instinct is to say, but I can't save right now, I barely have enough to get by, then this is especially for you. Because saving a tiny amount, even $1, is not about the amount. It's about proving to yourself that you can do it. It's about shifting from a mindset of, I can't afford to save, to, I can't afford not to. Step 1. Separate your savings physically and mentally. Let's start with the first rule: out of sight, out of temptation. Your emergency buffer needs to live in its own world. A checking account is too tempting. So is a savings account linked directly to your debit card. You need a separate savings account, ideally at a different bank or in an online-only account you rarely log into. Why? Because friction protects you. You want it to be annoying to withdraw from. That pause gives your rational brain time to say, wait, is this really an emergency or just an emotionally charged moment? It's like baby-proofing your money. Step 2, give it a powerful name. Let's not call it savings account #2. Let's call it what it really is. This account is your freedom, buffer, peace, fund, quiet, wealth reserve, disaster, cushion, break the cycle, vault call. It's something that reminds you of what it's for and what it protects you from. That way, when temptation strikes, you remember the mission. Step 3, start small, really small. Here's the magic: your emergency fund does not need to be big today. You just need to start. Transfer $5. Not kidding. Start with $5. Because if you can move $5 once, you can move $10 next week. And $25 the week after. This is about behavior, not balance. You're creating the habit of saving. You're building the reflex of protecting your peace. And that habit will carry you much farther than a one-time deposit ever could. Step 4. Automate the habit. Once you've made your first deposit, set up a recurring transfer, even if it's just $5 a week. Automating it takes the emotion out of the equation. You won't have to think about it. You won't forget, and you'll start to see your buffer grow quietly in the background. Just like compound interest, small steps plus time = powerful results. Step 5, set a micro goal. Let's not aim for $1,000 right now. Let's aim for $100 or $250. Choose a number that feels achievable in the next 30-60 days. Why? Because finishing something builds momentum. And momentum is how you start to believe I'm someone who saves. Once you hit $250, raise your goal to $500. Once you hit $500, now you're not just surviving. You're building a safety net strong enough to buy you time when life throws a curveball. What counts as an emergency? Now that you've started your buffer, let's talk rules. Your freedom buffer is not for birthday gifts, last-minute concert tickets. A Black Friday sale, a Target run that got out of hand. Your buffer is for emergencies. Real ones. Like a job loss, a broken down car, an unexpected medical bill, your phone dying when you need it for work. Before you dip into the buffer, ask, if I don't spend this right now, will there be real harm? If the answer is no, leave it alone. A quick story, why this matters. Let me tell you about someone we'll call Jess. Jess was always broke, even though she worked full-time. She tried saving in the past, but every time she built up even $100, something happened and wiped it out. She'd beat herself up, say, what's the point, and go back to living on edge. Then one day, Jess opened a new savings account and put $20 in it. She named it her break-free fund. She didn't even tell anyone. She just kept adding to it, $10 here, $5 there. 6 months later, her car needed $400 of work. And for the first time in her life, she didn't need to borrow money or swipe a credit card. She just paid it. She cried in the waiting room. Not because she was broke, but because she wasn't. That's what this is about. What if I'm still in debt? Great question. Yes, you can build your emergency buffer while paying off debt. In fact, you should. Because without a buffer, any emergency sends you right back into more debt. Your goal isn't to hoard thousands. It's to have enough of a cushion that you don't rely on Visa or MasterCard the next time life gets messy. Even $300 can prevent $2,000 of new debt. That's a trade worth making. What if I empty it? Here's the deal, that's okay. That's literally what it's for. You built it for this. If you spend it on a true emergency, that's a win, not a failure. And once the dust settles, you do what you did before. Start again. But this time, you'll start faster. Why? Because you already know how. You've built the system, the muscle memory is there. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. Let's talk numbers. Still feeling skeptical? Let's look at the math. If you start with $10, save $10 per week, don't touch it for a year, you'll have over $500 without feeling the pinch. That's a buffer that can cover a deductible, a tire, or even rent in a crisis. What's more, you'll have peace. The kind of peace that money can actually buy. What this says about you having an emergency fund doesn't mean you're rich. It means you're prepared. It means you're serious about your future. It means you've decided to stop being the one who's always reacting and start being the one who's ready. It's not flashy. It won't go viral, but it will change the way you sleep at night. And that's priceless. Your homework today, ready to take action? Here's what I want you to do. Open a separate savings account. Name it something that inspires you. Transfer whatever you can, even if it's just $5. Set a mini goal, $100 to start. Automate a weekly transfer, $5 to $10. Write down what counts as a true emergency for you. Protect that account like your peace depends on it, because it does. And lastly, tell someone you did it. Say it out loud. Declare it in the comments. The more you acknowledge this step, the more it sticks. Final thoughts, the emergency buffer isn't about fear. It's about freedom. It's a tiny shield between you and the chaos of life. And while it may seem small today, it's going to save you in ways you can't yet imagine. So start today. Start now. And tomorrow, we wrap up your 7-day reset with a plan to make this all stick long-term. If you've made it this far, you're not just learning how to manage money. You're building a new identity. One that's calm, confident, and in control. This is what quiet wealth looks like. Let's keep building.